Yes, that's
So,
fine.
do you arrive with any questions at this point?
No, not today, David.
Oh,
I'm just glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here too. Um, so, okay, we'll just dive into it then.
Sounds good.
So, I might put on my glasses since I don't have to wear a mask.
Hmm.
So, another element here in all this stuff we're working on, which is the subject of the marriage of heaven and earth, is opening and closing. The specific aspect of opening and closing that we want to focus on in this practice is the acupuncture meridian channels, which of course occurs with circulation. So to make this happen is very simple. What you have is the inside of your leg and the outside of your leg, and the inside of your arms and the outside. In the Chinese model, when we talk about yin and yang, the arms are up like this, so that the inside of the arms, the inside of the body, the inside of the legs is the yin, and the outside, the back, and the back of the arms is the yang. So um, your yin meridian lines are, for all practical purposes, flow on the inside and the yang on the outside. And all you have to do to find them is slap the inside ones, which hurts more than the outside. The yang ones are projecting, and the yin ones are nourishing. It really is, you can really feel the difference. If you just slap the inside of your arm and then slap the outside of your arm, you can feel the difference.
Hmm.
Um, so the object is to activate all the yin and all the yang lines so that the flow between the yin channels and the yang channels stays strong. In the process, whatever is stuck is cleared out, and that opens up the channels. Now, the flow in the legs is up the inside and down the outside. And it's very hard to see it, but you can feel it. You can't see it because the way in which you move energy through the meridian lines is through the fascia of the body, not the muscles. The fascia doesn't have as much movement as the muscles. You do the same things in Tai Chi and Bagua. It's just how the body works. Qigong is only a way of learning the alphabet of Qi movement. It's not learning to read and write. It's the alphabet, and you could say simple sentences, but that's about it. To do more than that with Qigong, you have to have Qigong sets of 100 or more movements, or Tai Chi, where you have 100 or more movements. That's where we're writing books, or at least you're writing chapters. But when you do this basic alphabet and the very simple things, that is what the larger pieces of writing are composed of. So if you learn to do that, you get you get most of what you need. So there's no way you can see what I'm about to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. um, oh, good, David. That
Now
was
it won't. Yeah.
that was not what I meant to do, obviously. um, even even if um, you were here, it would be difficult to see because I can simply stand here and I can bring the energy up the inside of my legs and down the outside. Bring it up the yin and down the yang. And I can do the same in the arms without any movement. And simply bring the energy in the yin side and out the yang. And so this is, of course, what we want to work towards being able to do. It's somewhat easier when you start moving, have some movement of the body with it. Now, what's so important in all of that is that you have to have your feet actually have continuous contact with the earth. And let me go back. Because as soon as you begin to lose that, you don't activate the channels anymore. So just for a minute, I'd like you to stand up and see if you can feel that at all in either your legs or your arms without any movement.
Okay.
And I'm not saying you should be able to do it because this really is the subject of the next Qigong down line, but for a moment, we'll try it. So just try it for a moment. And then begin to shift from side to side. Don't rotate, but just shift the weight from side to side. And see if you can feel the energy move up and down your legs when you do that. If you do, you may get a very different feeling of your legs and your body, because if you start activating your chi that way, it is dramatically stronger than just moving your body and turning your waist. Now bring your arms up in front of you and try to keep your arms parallel on your left and right channels if you can. And they could just be straight out in front of you. You don't have to hold them way up high. And as you're doing this, there is one other kind of tricky issue with your eyes. With most people trying to learn to do something, what they usually do is kind of disconnect from their eyes and just look at the pictures in their head. And you actually want to feel your body, because if you want to activate the channels inside you, you need to be able to feel it. Visualizing it a few times may be helpful, so you know what you want to do, but it doesn't get the job done. It only lets you know what you're trying to do. So you have to soften your eyes. It's like when you're driving a car, you, without realizing it, you're usually making pictures inside your head of how you're turning the car and what pedals you're pushing and so forth. But the other thing is, and it's absolutely important, that when you drive the car, you look at the road. Because if all you do is internally visualize rather than seeing what's in the road, there is a phrase called car accident that tells us what happens there. So the trick is how you look straight ahead in what you're doing because Qigong is supposed to be something that will go into your life. Most people walk around attempting to see what's in front of them, even if they are thinking about something else. So do your best to try and keep your body straight and don't lean from side to side. Now, how do you relax your eyes? All you need to do with your eyes, especially if you want to use Qigong for stress management, is that you do not need to push it out of your eyes or pull it into your eyes in order to see something. Now, as you're moving back and forth, just be aware of what's in front of your eyes. Now, the next trick is if you're going to internally visualize in order to remember what you're doing, I want you to still be able to relax your eyes and easily see what's in front of you. And that's how Qigong is done. But it's also terribly useful in life. It enables people to connect to life rather than be distracted or disassociated from it. When you get disassociated, you actually cause yourself twice as much stress as you would have had if you simply were able to see what was in front of you. Now begin to add rotation as you shift. And relax your eyes. Release the tension in your eyes. And let that relax your entire body. And as you relax your entire body, you become more sensitive to physical sensation, not less. One of the things as you're moving side to side that can help you to make your back a bit straighter is just to push your lower back very, very slightly backwards. That's not your sacrum, but your lower back. And relax your kidneys. And that will not only straighten your spine, but since your kidneys are directly energetically attached to your legs, it will enable you to feel your legs better. And remember to only shift as far as 70%. Even though you might be able to turn very far. You're not going to be able to turn very far at this moment until the nerves, which are telling your hips and your psoas and gluteus maximus muscles what to do, can actually relax and say, let go. As a matter of fact, even if you don't know how to do it, if your nerves work well, you can do it anyway. And as your body becomes more relaxed, you may find it easier to move energy up the inside of your legs and down the outside. Down the outside of your leg as you're bending the leg, up the inside of your leg as you're straightening the leg. This is how it is done in cloud hands. Moving the energy down the outside of the leg when your leg is bending, and then upwards is when you are straightening. However, in Tai Chi and Bagua, it can also be the opposite. It depends upon what type of stance you are using. So pause and relax. And could you get any sense of the energy moving up?
Yeah. No, a lot of it. I when I'm not moving, it's easier to get a sense of the whole pathway and everything moving through it as one, like water through a hose, and like all the water.
Yep. Uh-huh.
When I'm moving, I lose most of that, and it ends up becoming more of like I need to think, or I'm only really aware of like much more like one, kind of like a chunk, like a ball moving through each unit, and I lose a bit of it. Like at the ends, I'm like, okay, there's stuff coming in or out, but as I'm moving, like I can really only hold on to like one point moving through this system and what's coming in and out at the ends, but not like when I'm just resting. I have a sense of like the whole thing is all many little points, right? So
and that's perfectly normal.
Okay.
But also, I think the thing to remember is that when you start trying to be aware as you're moving, you should not try to be aware of everything, but pick one leg or one arm, or and simply follow that one.
Okay.
Because you can focus on what's happening in one part, in and out, and it's very difficult when you have the other one doing the opposite.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're standing still, you can just focus on, it's all coming in all the yin and it's going out all the yang. And just mention in passing that this is a third pathway that we've talked about working with. This is not the same as the macrocosmic circuit, because you remember that when the energy comes up the inside of the leg to the quad, it then goes up the back.
Right.
It comes down the front. Here we're talking about going in all of the yin and out all of the yang. And of course, that's different than center to periphery, which is the other primary circuit. So this is simply reminding us in a way that there are many different pathways that are functioning all at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
And this relates, as I said at the beginning of this, to the acupuncture meridian channels.
Yeah. That's probably, I think I know the answer. For the arms, like, do they just, where does it all like meet up? because I it gets a little loose. My
Oh,
awareness gets a little loose at
the
my shoulder.
shoulder's nest.
Okay, okay, because that's better because that's kind of because I in my head I'm like I don't know the acupuncture meridians. Go figure. So I was like, oh, it should probably go to like the middle because I just have an assumption there. And I could really only feel it up to like the shoulder and
Yep.
then back down. I was like, oh, I'm not connecting my back. Um,
Well, it there's of course also the flow through the spine, which is part of all of this. But it, when you speak just of the arms, basically that's what you're having is into the shoulder's nest and back out the yang. It's also going right on through the scapula to the spine and back out.
okay. Right.
But if you can get it to the shoulder's nest and be aware of that, that's a good beginning.
One more question. Just,
Sure.
I guess my problem with trying to focus on one thing, or I don't know if it's a problem, but I will end up, and maybe it's just normal. I'll end up like totally losing the arms, and like for whatever reason, I really wanted to like, I think because of Hold the Moon, I wanted to be like this, and so is that like, how do you focus on one thing while not constantly being like, my arms are just dead and I forgot to do anything with them? Like, oh yeah, I've got to like that's oh yeah, I got like arms up here, like you
Well,
know.
I think my answer is when we get to the end of what we're going to work on today, you're going to have a practice that will give you
Okay.
a way to develop that.
Okay. Cool.
Because what we're moving towards is um, adding the arm movement of the cloud hands movement.
Okay. Neat.
Cloud hands, Chico. So just say cloud hands is somewhat of a granddaddy progenitor of a lot of different movements. It's like the great ancestor. It's one of the original movements leading to all sorts of Qigong movements and Tai Chi and parts of Bagua that have been going on for thousands of years. And so it has the very basic components from which virtually every Qigong movement is composed. It is particularly good for something like Tai Chi or Bagua because the systems come from the exact same root. They are just applications of what was in the original information. Just like from basic computer code, you've got who knows how many programs that are just adapted to the need of the moment. So if you want to understand this movement, there are two things about it, and I'm going to try to show them to you just with one hand without getting into two hands, because when we do, the coordination becomes particularly difficult. So change your camera. I have to keep talking to myself. Why is
No,
that?
it did change.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
So you remember some time ago we worked with an exercise where we had one arm causing the other one to move.
Yep.
Remember this exercise?
Yeah.
And this is really important because this is a core principle in what we're going to be working on. And blah, blah, blah. It becomes really, as I said, very difficult when we get into both hands in cloud hands, which I have demonstrated to you before, but I will just for a moment do it again. And that same principle of the one arm causing the other one to rise is still going on here. So even just doing that little bit there is doing this basic exercise is really a good one because it prepares you for that element in cloud hands. So the first thing is that the movement that we're going to work on basically is an arc that's going up and down, and it's just very much like this. So it's not a straight movement, it's an arc. And we're going to be really trying to find the arc and the curves in that all of the movements that we're going to be doing here in cloud hands. So
okay.
What happens here is you have that arc, one hand going up and coming down, and we're trying to continually find that arc. It's not going straight, it's not going boom, it has curve to it. The other piece of this, in addition to the arc, is that we need to have continual twisting. So as you're doing this, that arm is continuously rotating. And notice that not only does that arc occur going up, but it occurs coming down. And the other piece of this is that in coming down, there are two curves. It comes down to the quad and goes around the leg. And the other part here also is, notice that when we are rotating and shifting back and forth from side to side, we're no longer just doing this. The movement now has a rounding at the outside. So we don't have any place where there is the potential for a stop and losing the flow of the energy. The other thing to note here is, and I'm going to do this movement without doing the rotation for a moment, is that the hand comes up to about the center, if that's comfortable for you. It must at minimum come to in front of the shoulder's nest. But if it can go to the center, that would be ideal. And it's about nose height. It is not across the center line of the body. And that's a little hard to see when you're rotating. So it's good to see that this movement occurs. And the other piece, the other thing to remember too is keeping the armpit open. So in other words, you're never letting your elbow collapse into the side. And since we don't have any women presently in the class, not a big issue, but I might just mention that for a woman, there is an issue of being sure that they don't touch the breast and actually keep that ideally hands width away, which allows the movement to be effectively moving through the etheric body without interruption. So
That makes sense.
the coordination here is that when you're at the side with one arm, you're rotating and shifting to the other side and arriving there at the other side, fully on that leg, just as this arm arrives in the center. And then you're rotating and shifting back to the other side as the arm goes down. Do you have a question at this point?
I got a lot of questions, David.
Good.
If you weren't rotating,
Yeah.
It feels like if I wasn't rotating and and you only did the arm movement, that the arm really it would almost be a straight movement, so that all the rotation should come from the body rotating. Yes.
Well,
No?
the arc certainly is enhanced by the rotation of the body, but it is not dependent on it.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. And then for coming down, because you mentioned you should get to the quad. In my head, that was at the midpoint.
No,
And then,
it's
okay.
past the midpoint. The midpoint is when your hand is halfway down.
Okay.
It probably is not quite at the qua yet.
Okay. That makes, because like that's yeah.
It will be. Let me just say that that will be easier to see when you have both arms, because the midpoint is when both hands come to the middle.
Okay.
And then you go to here, but you don't want to jump into that both arms, because you lose too much trying to jump to it.
Okay. That does make a lot more sense. And then the last thing, I is this. I know we're working on the arms.
Mm-hmm.
Should this? I guess I'm thinking about Dragon and Tiger when your arm pushes down the outside of the leg.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm kind of. This feels like almost the same thing is happening right there. So
it's similar, but it's not. You no longer need the extent of the movement that you use in Dragon and Tiger.
Okay, but
it's similar because you're going to the qua and around the hip.
Right. And I was thinking like because I'm at would getting it to the qua and like that the moment after the hand is rotating around this semicircle or this curve match with the energy going down the leg, or should I just not totally just let go of that timing? Like maybe that's a little more than I should be doing.
Well, that's part of all of this. So
okay.
It's not that you shouldn't be doing it, but remember that when you straighten the leg, that sends the energy up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so when the when my right leg straightens, it sends the energy up and out. And when my right leg bends, it's sending the energy down.
Right. So it already was going down. Okay.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
here it has gone down. Now it's starting up. Now
Okay.
it's starting down.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. I'm glad I asked.
So that's exactly what you were doing with just the legs earlier, or thinking just about the legs.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. um. And then I I I think I'm having a like I feel like I'm getting a corner of the rotation of my arm where like there's just a moment of like my hand is just kind of like you know it's just flat. um like maybe I'm rotating it too much and and I'm going past my 70% of the arm because it feels like it gets kind of bound up and like tense and then it's like coming out, but yeah.
Okay. And so that is an issue that can certainly occur, and you need to not let that happen. So this movement continues to here, but as soon as you start to turn, can you see my hand
Yep.
begin to move?
Okay. Okay.
So it's so the one of the difficulties in this movement is getting that twisting to be not start and stop, but continuous and connected, and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
speeding up and slowing down, but just constantly moving.
Right. I'm thinking I think you have like that example of like the rubber band airplane,
Yep.
and it feels like mine gets wound up, and then it's like it's there's just like a moment of like and now it goes, you know.
So that's part of really learning to find how, and this is one of those things that you will continue to be a conundrum and a difficulty through everything that we do,
Okay.
and that is the turnover. How do you get so that as you, boy, I realize what camera I'm on.
Oh.
It's getting to the point where just as you start to approach the end of one movement, the other one has begun.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Yeah.
stop. It's an overlap.
Right. No, I remember one time you said you're like, hey, when I think I was just doing one of these things like back and forth, and you're like, hey, when you're at the midpoint, your movement to go that way has already started.
Yep.
And I was like, I was like, David, you can't do that. Like what? um, yeah. Okay. Cool. I think that's all the questions, and now I'll just have. Now I'm just gonna go like this and mess it up. But
So why
yeah,
don't you try the other arm?
that's a good idea. Um, that was the last thing. Is it? I guess. Well, yeah, it could be out. So this circle is from like outside in. I'm imagining, and then like it kind of comes
No,
deep.
it's inside out,
Okay.
because you, and don't make it so big. It's
Okay.
just really a turn. It's the you don't want to overemphasize that curve at the sides. It's as small as you can make it,
Okay.
but let it be present. And it occurs on both sides.
Right. I this one I'm like this one is outside in as well.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I really that's funny. I really want to go inside out.
So what I'm noticing is you're losing the bottom curve. I'm going to
Okay.
try to stay closer to the camera here for a moment so you can see what I'm talking about. Remember that you want your feet wider than shoulder
Mm.
width for this.
Mm. Okay.
So you're over here. So remember that you have an additional curve here around. So at this part of the movement, I'm not really moving my arm much at all. Once I arrive at the qua, all I'm doing is rotating and bringing that around to a midpoint on my side, which is not very far. I mean, it's a matter of 2 or 3 inches here.
Yeah.
And then coming back is really coming, you're coming from that same starting point with a little curve, and it's going up and out in that arc, and then it's coming in all the way down to where you've sent it down your leg, and then it starts up and out.
Okay. Kinda. I think. Um
Yeah, that was better. This is a point where I want to be in person with you because
I if you ever want me to like, face a different way or something, let me know.
yeah, I was just going to say turn sideways for a moment and just let me see you do it this way. So when you get up to the top, don't turn your arm over so fast. Turn it slowly all the way down to there. So as you're coming down, aim for the qua and then go around the hip
Okay.
because it's too those are the two arcs. You're coming down in an arc from the center to the qua, and then you're going around the hip. Yep, palm down when you get around the hip. Yes.
So the qua around the hip. Is it back to the qua up?
Um,
Because I feel like I kind of skip it.
you you will pass by it, but you're not.
It's not like the exact same.
It's not like the coming down movement.
Okay.
You're not going to the qua and then up. You're going past the qua and up.
Okay, because that's like what it felt better, but
Yeah.
Sometimes what feels better is not right.
Usually it is.
I guess. Well, that's a good point too. Wrong way.
So when you start down from the top, the hand doesn't go out further. It just turns. It just has a little. Oh, you can't see me.
No.
Well,
Okay, so like the rounding of that one, I like got on the wrong side of it, right? I was going inside out for everything.
yeah. So when you get up to the center, it's just a turn.
Okay.
It's not. I felt like you were reaching out further to start down. It's not.
Yeah, I was
up and just turn and come down.
Okay. I think I'm like oh, it's got to be round. So I'm like, it's gonna be round, baby.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Yeah, this simple movement is not so simple.
No, I mean that's pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's bad. Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that's looking better.
Yeah. I try to not just totally, if I think of, if I have a point on my leg, if it's somewhere in there, it makes it a little easier. To yeah, and I think like you said, whoa, I don't know what I'm doing over there. I think eventually, right, having that landmark of like, hey, the other hands have met each other, and that's supposed to be the middle. I think will help.
That helps as far as finding the middle. Yes.
The middle. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the things to try to be aware of is if you feel a hitch or something stopping you, because often we find that somewhere there is something in the body, in the system. It could be simply in one of the joints or in the spine or in an organ. where there is something that is blocking the movement.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's kind of there. If you take a look at the notes, you'll find a lot more detail about that. I'm not going to go through that at the moment,
Okay.
because I think you can read through it at some point. But it's principally beginning to try to be aware of the movement, and if there is any point at which, for whatever reason, you can't keep it smooth or continuous, recognizing that something's getting in the way and that you need to dissolve whatever that is.
I know you said it's all in the notes and stuff, but would you, as one practice, like then just stop and try to dissolve whatever it is right then and there?
Yeah.
Okay. And like just like wherever you are in the movement, just stop and try to figure out how to let it so that the movement just happens.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And of course the part of the whole thing is getting the coordination between the legs, the arms, and the body to be the same. So that's really where I'm going to leave you with this.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to really work on trying to get each arm, and be aware that one arm may be different than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else particular to say there.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have any other questions at the moment?
Excuse me. I don't think so. Oh, where are my kidneys?
Where are your kidneys?
Are they like up here?
Your kidneys are just under the lower ribs.
Yeah, where are those? Okay.
Yep.
Are they inside? Are the ribs around them?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so if I don't feel ribs anymore, I've gone too far. They're way up there?
Yeah.
That's like behind my lungs.
Oof. Amazing.
Why are they? I thought, is there anything down here? What's down here?
Intestines.
Just guts.
Yeah. Stomach.
What the fuck? Where's your? Nobody ever told me your liver's like here. Right? Isn't it like here? Something's here.
Your liver is like, it's huge. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing.
I kind of.
Your liver is huge, and
yeah,
it's more than half.
That's crazy. Yeah, I always thought it was like down here somewhere.
No.
And I'm like, Lyra got an anatomy book, and I was like, I'm sorry, what?
There are thousands of anatomy pictures on the internet. All you have to do is put kidneys in, and you will get more pictures of kidneys than you ever want.
Yeah. Well, just because you mentioned relax your kidneys, and I was like, I'm just gonna try to relax my back, David. I don't know what those are.
Well, that's good. Yeah, the kidneys are really related to the lower back.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that means that the kidneys actually, we always talk about them in relation to the back, but in actuality, they they're they run through, and the it is when you really get into trying to energize the kidneys, it's easier to access them from the front than it is the back.
That's interesting. Huh.
That's kind of a side note, since that's not something we're particularly doing at the moment. But
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and then okay. I, I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's just one of those like basic things that I like feel like I still kind of struggle with. Of
what?
like I know you're not supposed to like to have a straight back, right? Like we don't want to do this, like puff out our chest, right?
No.
But I also feel like if I want my shoulders to not be like all rounded and like hunched forward, like if I try to when I try to have my scapula like actually like open, sometimes I feel like instead of doing that, what I'm really doing is just pushing my shoulders forward. And I'm obviously exaggerating, but
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh, or like this might end up being my like I'm not paying attention in my posture. So I'll be like, okay, I want to like open my chest, but then I just feel like I'm doing this, and I've like pulled my scapula together. You know what I mean? It's like I kind of oscillate between this and like this, and I'm like,
So I think the issue for you there is that instead of using your elbows to move the scapula, you're trying to use your chest to move the scapula.
okay, that makes sense. Yep.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't work very well to use the
Right.
chest. And indeed, your see, I have to see where you can see me. You're right. You don't want to let the chest collapse,
Mm-hmm.
because that also collapses the midriff, and it is extremely important that the midriff stays open.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it opens and closes. Actually, it's a cavity. So it has energetically, it opens and closes. And if you collapse it physically, it doesn't open and close energetically. So that's
Right.
important. So that's part of keeping the spine straight, is keeping the midriff open. And if you want to move the scapula, you can move the scapula by moving the elbow. So this really goes back to the 8 gates standing meditation and pulsing. That's what we're doing there, is learning how do we use our arms to cause the scapula to move in towards the spine and to pull out away from the spine
Okay.
in all these different positions. So that's really one of the things that we're trying to learn in the standing work, because we do those 8 different physical positions, but yet we're doing in effect the same movement of the scapula if we think of sliding it into the spine and away from the spine.
Yeah, I guess I got it in my head that the goal was to have this that I should move my scapula to move my arms, to move my elbows,
Uh-huh.
but I mean maybe one day. But you're right. Like the moment I'm like, oh yeah, just have my elbows do it, but my scapula like, okay, we're coming on for the ride. Like,
Yeah,
it's a hell of a lot easier. Uh,
it is. And that is where you have to begin.
okay.
And yes, eventually you can have the scapula cause the arms to move. Yes, that is where you can move towards eventually, but it's not where you start.
No, because as soon as I do, I'm like, oh, we. Like I'm just pushing my shoulder around.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I had forgotten about sort of forgotten about the midriff. You know,
Yeah,
so because that makes it
because
easy to like, oh, I'm gonna stand up without being like, I'm gonna like straighten my back. So cool, thank you.
uh,
Yeah.
part of the structure of the shoulder is allowing the shoulder's nest to soften and sink in. And the only you can't as soon as you try to use the chest or the shoulders to move the scapula, that tightens up.
Yeah.
But you can move the elbow and keep the shoulder's nest soft. And you can have the elbow do all kinds of things without really affecting the shoulder's nest.
Right.
It does affect it energetically, but it's not causing it to tighten up.
Yeah. I think that.
Whereas if you use the shoulders or the chest, then immediately you do.
Right.
And that blocks the flow of the energy through the shoulder.
Right. 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 Okay. And I think that answers my last question of sometimes when I'm like, okay, I gotta like keep like, oh yeah, keep my armpits open. I feel like I kind of go like I'm exaggerating, but like I feel like I'm walking around like this, like my arm, like I'm
Yeah.
a kind of like an ape. You know how like they kind of like.
Yeah.
Um.
So
Yeah.
that's exaggerating, but
Yeah. Yeah. I'm exaggerating, but like even here, right? I feel like, I feel like okay, my armpits are open, but you know what I mean?
I do know.
Okay.
So when you're, when you simply, that's good, David. When you simply are standing,
Hmm.
when we just stand in our basic position,
Yeah.
if you remember, we talk about rotating the arms so that the the tiger's mouth, your thumb and index finger, it can rest against the side of the leg,
Hmm.
but there is space in the armpit. I'm not lifting it out here. I
Hmm.
just tightened up my arm to do that.
Right.
Here, I'm completely relaxed, but I have the space there.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
tiny.
Yeah.
It's if you remember the what the the dimension that the Chinese suggested is the size of a robin's egg.
Right. 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 Yeah. Just.
I presume you've seen a robin's egg at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice and small.
They're very small.
Yeah. I
So
just kind of. Yeah.
so you don't have to emphasize that space. You just have to preserve that minimal space.
Okay.
And as a man,
Hmm.
we we have it much easier than women because we don't have to deal with not touching the breast.
Right. Yeah.
So you can go from here, from that position at the side, up and
Right.
back down again, and it's no big deal keeping that space, even if you're not rotating. And when you
Right.
rotate, you create more space. So it's
Okay.
um, so don't overemphasize that. No,
No, I think everything I do,
you
I think
try to.
yeah, yeah. I make everything a lot bigger than it needs to be.
Yeah.
You know, I, I'm like, oh, it's got to be round.
Well,
Watch too many kung fu movies or
yes,
something where
but
they're like,
there is round and there is round.
yeah. Okay. Cool.
Good. So, how's your yang?
Oh yeah. Mm, it seems like we keep putting more stuff in this house, and I have less and less room. But not great. Um, yeah, not
You
great.
need you need a new house.
I know. Yeah. I know. You know.
You probably do need a new house, actually.
Yeah, we're pretty. They're um they're dealing. I would say they've, I don't know. Yeah, we do. They have this shared room, right? So some nights they're like great and they're having fun and they're playing and they're respecting each other. And other nights Rowan is biting Lyra and she's on the floor crumpled up in a ball and he's just kicking her in the head. And other nights Lyra's throwing books at you know.
Oh,
And I'm
well,
like, you know,
welcome to two children.
yeah. It's just so
We
yeah. At
were
some point
we
they're gonna
were
want their own rooms.
we were lucky to have separate rooms for the boys
Yeah.
because yeah, sometimes they got along super well, and other times they were killing each other.
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah, no.
It's like I caught Lyra. Short story. I was cooking dinner, and like I think I had like a class or a video she was doing, and they were in the living room, and like they're kind of yelling and playing, and then all of a sudden like, and Rowan was small, um, I think he could like crawl or maybe like walk a little bit.
Uh,
Lyra had her, Lyra had like a scarf wrapped around his neck and was like pulling him up. I was like,
oh.
I was like, Lyra, what are you doing? That was crazy.
Oh dear.
But yeah, so the young, yeah, I remember we learned some new postures. I think I got to like punching down, um, and yeah, that's about all I remember. David, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't practice that at all. It's a lot easier to do the the qigong stuff or heaven and earth, because I can do that like while I'm washing dishes or you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so
I know. I do understand that.
so yeah, I think a review of what we did last time, and then would be ideal.
Okay.
And then if you had something you would, you know, had an idea of what we should do, I'm up for that as well. You know,
Well, let's see how we do with that.
let's see how we do with that. Yeah. Let's also see if I can. Yeah, I think if I go like this. Maybe, maybe this adds some more room. Sort of. I forgot about the ceiling. I have enough room to do one posture at a time.
Okay.
So that's the other reason why I'm like, hey, maybe we should just review. I know.
So
Yeah.
so you don't want to try to flow, is that what you're saying?
That if you could bear with me, I could like walk around and see if I can see what they're doing down there and find a spot. So one moment.
Sure.
Okay. And a little bit more room.
All right.
That works. Okay. Yeah.
So your review isn't distracting for Dada, and so Dada's stuff isn't distracting for you. So I'll bring it closer and I'll set it up so you can hear the movie without.
Begin Tai Chi addressing the earth. So spiraling down into the left, stepping out empty with the right, rotating, rising into Pung, Sink, Ji, Liu, On, Shifting left and release. Turn the right leg. Shift on to it. Release in and step. Shift forward. Ward off left. Shift forward and reset the right. Sink into it and rise to ward off right. And roll back. Sink. Turn and sink down and back, forward and up to press. Then back and down, forward and up to push down. And sit back and turn, embrace the moon. Rotate onto the right and step back with the left. Shift, extending, twist step. Single whip. Turning right on the left heel. Right toes, drop the heel and lift hand. Turn. Up. And then into brush knee. Play peepaw. Back and up. Brush knee. Shift back and turn. Brush knee. Shift back and turn. And brush knee left. Then another play peepaw. Brush knee. Then sit back, turn, expand out a bit, shift forward, kick, elbow strike, back fist, deflect down, step, shift forward and punch, withdraw, and push downward. Sit back, turn, embrace the moon, rotate rising to cross hands, release the right leg, turn and pull down, turn on the left toe, sit back into the left foot, draw in and step back, and shift, expand, embrace tiger. Sit back and down, forward and up, ward off right, and roll back, sink, turn, press forward, and push downward. Sit back and turn, single whip to the corner. Step, shift, single whip, sit back, turn the left leg, shift onto it and step forward with the right, rotate to the ear strike, shift, drawing the fist in, rotate to touch forward, and then open to punch. Rotate back, drawing in and step back, repulsing the monkey. Draw in and step, repulse monkey. Draw in, step back, repulse monkey. Draw in and step forward. Shift and release with a twist step, diagonal flying. Shift forward, reset, and lift hand. Turn, white goose. Draw in again and step, another brush knee. Shift forward. Draw in, sword fingers connect to the right and up. Needle at C bottom. Rise, stepping forward. Shift forward, expanding and turn to fan through the back and turn on the right toe. Draw in, step with the right and shift to back fist. Turn, S curve down through, draw in and up, kick, elbow strike, back fist, pull down, deflect, punch, and back, turn, shift and step, ward off right, roll back, sink, press forward, and push downward. Get back and turn. Another single whip. Wave hands. Turn on the right heel. Right heel. Step up and step in. Turn the ball and step out. Turn the ball, step in. Turn the ball, stepping out. Turn the ball, stepping in and forward. And back. Single whip. Shift forward. Reset. Going back and down and up to high pat. Then draw back in, step with the left, shift and ward off left. Shift onto the left, kick with the right and hit with the right hand. Come back to embrace the moon and step with the right. Shift and ward off right. And shift forward, kick with the left, strike with the left arm, come back in, turn on the right heel, and kick with the left heel, and brush knee left, and back, turn, step, and brush knee right, back and turn, step and sink, push down and then punch down with the right fist. Is that as far as we went?
Yeah.
You have a question there?
I do. Yeah. I before Cloud Hands, I've once again. There's like I think it's like ward off right, roll back, press, single whip. I like my mind just refuses to remember that that's a thing. I think. It's just every time, because I think it comes from a punch. I'm like, okay, now we go to the Cloud Hands, and you're like, nah, like we're gonna do, you're like, we do like these 5 other postures to get there. I'm like, okay. So I don't know.
Cloud Hands always comes out of single whip. So
that's good to know.
It never comes out of anything else.
Okay. That's a helpful little tidbit. So if I ever find myself wanting to go to Cloud Hands and I'm not in single whip, That you're missing it.
Can't do it.
Okay. Yeah, that's super helpful to know.
Doesn't mean your body won't want to do it, but
Yeah. Now I have something to remind it. Like, well, yeah, but, and then, I don't remember the ward off between the kicks near the end there. I don't know. The sweeping kicks. I thought it was like kick with the. I thought it was like kick with the right, or do the sweep with the right. Oh yeah, I guess how do you get there?
no, there's ward off left, and then
Okay.
kick with the right, and then ward off right and kick with the left.
Cool. I don't remember that at all. I just
It's-
remember 2 kicks.
It's called separate leg left and separate leg right, but
Thank you.
it is a low sweeping kick.
Right. Okay. So that was fun. And then right at the end, obviously, that was yeah. So no surprise, the new stuff was a little muddy, but everything else felt pretty good.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So where did it start to get muddy?
Probably right after High Pat, because then I was like, oh yeah, there's ward offs here. So probably right then. So almost essentially coming out of Cloud Hands would be,
Okay.
yeah. Since there's stuff in there that I'm like, what are you doing, David? I think just going through it once or twice,
Yeah. So let's do the last, then step in Cloud Hands.
Sure.
So we step forward, we step back, we do another single whip, and then we turn, and then we shift forward, fold the arms in, turn right and reset the right foot, rotate back and down onto it, and then left and up, adjusting that left foot and going into the posture. And then we rotate again to the right, going back to embrace the moon and sinking back to our base level, drawing the left foot in, and rotate a little and step the left somewhat towards the rear corner. Doesn't have to be completely, but somewhat in that direction. And you shift forward and release into ward off left. And then you're going to shift forward and let the 2 arms fold in. And there's going to be a little turn because you bring that right foot in. Here you're doing protect the groin in effect as it comes in. And from here, then, you're going to do that little kick. And the kick can be very small and stay very low, but you've got to turn the body to make that kick. So the body has to also make that little circle there. So you get here and you kick, and the arms start to spread with the kick. And then after the kick, you get the actual strike, in this case with the right arm forward. The left does not go as far back. So when you get to here, the movement is really 1-2. Really at this point is 1-2. And then you come back to embrace the moon, step with the right, shift, go into ward off right, come forward, turning to the right, and then you have another 1-2, in effect, going 1-2, and you come back, and here, this is you're sinking into the right foot and turning a little right so you can spin left on the right heel and turn to the other side. So you're turning on the right heel until that right foot is aimed more or less to the rear corner on the right side.
Okay, yeah, that was the other thing. So, is it like if I wasn't turned to get ready to do it, I'm facing the front left corner, and I'm going to just face the rear right corner?
Yeah, you're turning in effect 180 degrees.
Okay, cool. I think I turned like more than 360. So I was like, whee, this is a lot of turning.
Well, we do that in a little bit, but not yet.
Okay, cool. Maybe that's why I was doing it. Got it.
Yeah, from here, you're just going to spin to here.
Okay, cool. All right, perfect.
Because then you're going to kick with the left heel and then step for your bow stance and go into brush knee.
Okay.
And another brush knee. And then another step, and this time instead of going to brush knee, you're going to go to punch downward.
Right.
So instead of shifting forward, just shifting forward, you're really sinking. So in place of the shift, you're sinking and the left arm is going down, the right is starting to form a fist, and then you rotate and you push down with the left arm as you rotate, and the right fist passes and punches.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think.
Nothing to it, right?
Yeah, so it really feels like you're almost just falling, like I guess that's kind of the sense I'm getting of like you're getting it ready, and then that rotation down.
Yep.
Like it just I'm locking my elbow, of course, but it feels like I'm just letting my hips go and like my body weight is just falling. But should it instead be more deliberate?
Pretty much it is.
Okay.
The only thing is, if you notice, my left knee, my forward knee, is not going forward.
Okay.
So that's the important part of this in terms of your start. There is more weight on this leg than this leg, but I'm not here. As soon as I go here, I'm starting to fall forward.
Okay.
Particularly because you're bent over further, which we rarely do here.
Right. Okay.
So indeed, the point is that you have to not shift forward here. You have to sink into it.
Okay. And you should probably use your other arm too.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I said, and I wasn't moving my other arm. That's all.
Both arms move.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's just that the left arm pushes down about to your knee level, and then the right passes it.
Okay. I think, yeah.
Other questions there?
No, I'm sure I can't do it. Do it on my own. So if we could just go through one more time and
Sure.
Yeah, cement it in.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Well, I won't break it up so much. We'll try to flow it a little more this time.
Sure. Perfect.
So the last cloud hands. So turn the ball, step forward, embrace the moon, step back, single whip. Shift forward, reset, shift back, arms separating, rotate forward and up, high pat, release back into center and down, and step, shift, ward off left, shift onto the left, and kick, strike, step with the right, and ward off right, shift forward, kick, strike, turn a little to the right, and then spin left on the right heel, and kick with the left heel, and step, brush knee, and brush knee right, shift back and turn, step, sink, turn and push down with the left and punch down with the right.
I'm from that brush knee to that punch. I missed the step and I was on the wrong foot. I ended up on the wrong side.
So that probably means you kicked with the wrong heel after you turned to this side.
Left heel, right?
You want to kick with the left heel.
Yeah, kick with the left.
So you don't, after you kick with the left, you're going to do brush knee left.
Mm-hmm.
Brush knee,
Boop.
turn,
Forward.
step, brush
Yep.
knee right,
Uh-huh.
shift back and turn and step.
And turn and
brush knee
step.
forward.
There we go.
Sink.
Okay, I missed.
You shift back and turn each time.
Shift back and turn each time. Yeah, what is going on? That's the last one is brush knee left before the punch.
No, you do brush knee left, brush knee right.
That's why. Okay. Shift back, turn, step, just sink and punch.
Yeah. Yeah. Push down with the left first.
Yeah. I'll punch right through him, David. I'm that strong. Energetic, I guess. Okay. Yep. You shift back and turn for each one.
Yes.
Just keep throwing tidbits my way.
Well,
Whatever little hints you got.
they'll keep coming. And when you are able to do a little practice, you can always ask me a question.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So
I know.
if you discover that you don't know or have a question, I'm always here.
Yeah, I know. I just gotta call you and be like, David, what's happening?
Yeah, right. Yes, it's nice. I like communicating with you, Andrew, when you can.
Yeah, I know.
I know you're busy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
still doing
I don't have to be.
both jobs?
Nope, just one.
Well,
Just one now.
that's better.
Yeah, it is better. It is.
Which one are you doing?
The not that startup one.
Uh-huh.
So the one I've been with for forever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The startup one didn't make it, or
They got bought, but I didn't make it was not the windfall that I was
No.
hopeful for, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
it was like right when the I don't know, have they called it a recession yet? But when the recession that no one wants to say is a recession because that causes recessions happened, it was like they just made the decision of like, hey, let's just sell it while anyone's even still willing to spend any money,
Yeah.
and instead of trying to make it happen. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's too bad. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay. That's kind of how they go. So
Yeah. Well, um, now you
yeah,
have more time to spend with the kids.
yeah. If in theory, that's the theory,
Are you
right?
having to go into the office?
I won't. I will never.
Uh,
If they ever say like you got to come in once a week, I'll be like, okay, here's my resignation.
yeah.
No, because like the office is just too far away from me.
Yeah.
Like if it was 20 minutes away or something, like I might go in like once a week or something if they needed that,
Yeah.
they demanded that of me. But no, I will fight tooth and nail. Um, well, not really. I'll just leave. I guess I won't fight that hard. I'll just leave. To not do that anymore. I am 100% in the work from home, remote work
Yeah.
camp. Yeah.
Well, I, I think almost a majority of people are doing that now. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Like I've always been in that camp. I've always thought it made more sense. And it was such a like, oh, it's never gonna happen. And like, obviously, I'm not glad the pandemic happened, but
but
if I'm gonna be a silver line on anything, that's been pretty. That was it kind of caused that whole cultural shift of all the workers are like, hey, wait a minute, this is
yeah.
awesome. Uh,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
so yeah,
Well, it's good to see you,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
glad you survived your LASIK.
yeah, yeah. That was exciting. That was an exciting time.
I'm not sure that exciting is quite the word, but okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I'm glad it worked out, and but it's cool. It's cool having. I keep waking up every morning and I go, oh, I left my contacts in. Because I used to wear contacts, and then I'm like, that's just my eyes. It's cool.
Supposed to be that way.
Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, whoa, eyes that work are neat.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I will never have that again.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Although I don't have to wear glasses all the time, so
right. So that's pretty good actually.
yeah. But I can't read without. Actually, now I pretty much can't read without my magnifier. So,
Oh, yeah. Right.
or I have to be, like on Kindle where I can enlarge it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But Aaron, I was like, hey, like, I know you got LASIK. Like, I was basically like, do you regret that? And he said no, it was awesome, but he got to the point now where he needs readers, and he's like, he's all, you know, kind of a bummer. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I think I'll be okay with it. Maybe we'll find out when I finally do need glasses again. I'll be like, this sucks. Like,
yeah, yeah.
so
Well,
we'll find out.
who knows?
Yeah,
We'll
but
have to see about that. Well, take care, buddy.
yeah. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say hi to the crowd.
Sure. Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
everybody a hug for us since we can't do it. And
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'll try to. Hopefully, I'll get some sort of transportation for next week so they can get their second shot.
oh, I hope so. Yeah, good
Yeah.
luck with all of that.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
All right. Bye.